is camp. Oh, wait a minute. I think I got the wrong one. Hold on. This is camp. Don't look too bad, you say. I'd like to warn those of you with weak stomachs that this is your last chance. Hopefully you have a sick mind and you will be able to enter our paradise. Here it is. Camp for a week.
For supper time we're having hamburgers.
You're going to hear a sound which has become familiar to us all in this past week. One which we will try all to forget. Hopefully the sound will not be scarred too deeply into our mind. One which we will be able to forget. This is the room where Jack and a family of 2 little rugrats slept.
Nick, you gotta be quiet because Dad's taking pictures and all that sound gets out of the picture.
The reason you can't see much is because this room is so tiny. This is another room we are probably never going to be able to forget. Either it's because of the toilet that so many times given us showers, and maybe it's the shower that's so many times given us dirt. I'm not sure what it is, but no one's growing real fond of this place. See, our cup runneth over. To have Jack give us a demonstration as to how the stove opens. Would you be able to do that, Jack?
I think I can handle that.
Show us how the oven door opens.
One of the most magnificent ovens you'll ever want to see. We just open the door. What? Wait. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Put your pizza in, Bill.
Yeah, that's the oven. It takes approximately an hour and a half to cook a pizza.
Would you like to see the sink plumbing?
Oh yes.
We have
Jack
a very convenient feature with the 2 faucets being about a foot apart, but they are somewhat movable.
That is if you pull them both
Very
to the
neat
center.
This one has a nice decorative here.
And our spacious window. This is the bedroom where Grandma and Grandpa slept when they were here. They left shortly after they arrived. As you can see, the top door hinge there is about ready to fall off. And the floor is in good repair, where Bill and Chris and family slept. Over in that corner, there's probably a pile of snot. Jack doesn't have to worry about the hinges on his door falling off because the door itself is falling off. As you can see, we also have drapes. All the modern conveniences of home.
Oh, good.
Our boats to use. That is, if you could find a key to unlock them. We do have rowboats, although the lake is quite large, and for one man to head out into that is possible or even certain death, especially when the oars break, as Jerry demonstrated earlier in this week. The lawn chair is laying in such a weird position, and you might also ask is why the handles are all black. And the question to that, the answer to that question is this, that we have a wild man staying with us, I guess. And as you can see, There's home, sweet home. Right over in there is where Dad dragged up all the seaweed out of the beach. That was down in here. It was floating about 3 to 4 inches thick. They told us not to worry though. We only found one bloodsucker, one crayfish, and several clams in with them. The date is July 5th. This is the last day of our vacation.
1984.
1984. We have started to pack and are soon going to begin our journey home. Right now I'd like to take you to Jack to give us a little recap of our vacation. Jack, could I disturb you for a moment, Jack? We'd like
Sure.
a little bit of our trip here. I'd like to describe our trip a little bit
You
for us.
describe our trip?
Yeah, that would. As you can see, Jack has not been in the best of moods.
Wasn't really prepared for this, but I have made a few notes that I wanted to, so I could take home and tell Lois what she's missing up here, because I think she's really going to be sad that she missed this. Sort of my personal diary on how things were up here at Smithers on Pickerel Lake. There are a whole bunch of memories of things that I didn't want to really forget, so I've made a list of them, and I hope it doesn't take too long here. The number one thing I think most of us think of when we think of this cabin is the bathroom rug. It's constantly damp, wet, and has red stains. The tub in the bathroom is another thing. It's very dirty, and there were very few of us. I think I'm one of the only ones here who was willing to step in there with bare feet. Even Nicky had to have sandals on when he took a shower. Another good memory, and one that I'll always remember the most, is the first time I went in there to go number one. I stood up and went, and I reached down and flushed the toilet, and the whole toilet splashed back at me, and I got a drop of water right up here on my chin. Fortunately, my mouth was closed. But I learned, as everyone else did, to put the top down before you flush that toilet, because it comes back at you. Everything in that bathroom was constantly wet. And you never quite knew where the water was coming from. It was condensation or splashing from the toilet or what. So that's kind of how the bathroom was. The screen door is something we'll always remember constantly banging. The kitchen sink, as you can see right here, we might have described earlier on different tapes, is very nice. The way the two faucets are set up, and they have side motion here. When you want to rinse, you either have to use the hot water, scalding hot, or the ice cold. It's kind of a unique feature in kitchen sinks. The stove. The oven doors malfunctions a little bit, but otherwise the stove works very well, as you can see here. It's a typical gas stove. Sends out a torch when you throw a match in. As long as you're careful, you don't burn yourself. The refrigerator, you don't see it, but it's over there. That worked pretty good, except you had to have two hands and a foot when you wanted to close it. Other than that, it worked fine. Thinking about the living room, the couch. I know several times during the first few days here, I'd get this funny odor. I wonder, what is it? And I think I'd check my hands and think I touched something outside. And suddenly we all realized that we only got that smell when we were sitting on a couch. And we began to think maybe it was from the couch, and I think that's right. I noticed last night another funny smell I've been wondering where it come from, and I realized last night I only smelled that when I was sleeping with this one blanket that was left from up here, so that's another memory. Basically everything in this cabin is crooked. You look at the pictures on the walls, and you look at the walls themselves, they're crooked. There's a heater over here that's listing at about a 45-degree angle. We have the leaning refrigerator of Smithers over here in the corner. Fortunately, it's leaning back against the wall, so we're not concerned it's going to fall over and hit somebody. But if that wall weren't there, I think it would just take off. The living room is very small. It's very odd for a 3-bedroom cottage to have one couch and one chair in a living room that's about 8 by 8. I don't know what you're supposed to do with the people from the 3 bedrooms. There are 3 types of doors on the 3 different bedrooms. In the middle bedroom, we have the basic wooden door with a hinge on the bottom working fine. The hinge on top is almost off, but as long as you hold that top up, you can close that door. In Billy's bedroom, he has one of the better doors. It's kind of a curtain type, folding curtain, and it goes closed and closes, actually closes all the way, so it's not real soundproof, but at least it closes. On my bedroom door, you have sort of the same thing, but there's no latch. So those are the three types of bedroom doors I have in the cabin here. I should add on a wooden door, which is the one where the best as far as soundproof. That's where I put the kids in for their naps. For some odd reason, that door is about 4 inches off the floor, so there is quite a large gap on the bottom for sound to get through. And like,
Or mice.
I haven't quite figured that out, why that's like that. There's no dressers in any of the rooms, which makes it very convenient when you have, like in Billy's case, he has 4 kids living in one room and no dressers. I got boxes all over the place. I have the same sort of situation in my room. It's very, very difficult. I asked Billy's wife, Chris, what she wanted me to remember about this place, and she just said one thing: dirt. I'm not quite sure what that means. Another thing, she said when they came up in their bedroom only, I haven't seen it in any of the other 2 bedrooms, but they found a bunch of worms in their bed cover. Now, I'm not sure if Billy brought those with him or what, from his armpits or whatever, but since they're not in any of the other rooms, I can't really feel that convinced that there's worms in this cabin, although it's possible. I think that pretty much describes the cabin. If you want to go outside and look things over there, basically there's no beach. That's the first problem with this cabin. There is a water down here, and there is kind of a rocky shore that you can step off into the water, but it's not real good for the kids. Out at the end of the pier, the water is well over all of our kids' heads, so we got to be a little bit careful there. The second thing that you notice about the weeds, once you scrape away the algae, about the lake, once you scrape away the algae, is the weeds. In fact, the first day, me and Jerry and Bill and Mike went out in the boat with my dad to find a place where we could jump off and swim. We must have rowed about half a mile out over to an island finally, and we found nothing but weeds, so we really found no good place to swim. The clothesline here is set up such that every time you walk in from the car, you've got a duck, or you get garroted. It's just right across the whole yard. The width side just blocks you from coming from the car to the cabin. Very unique setup. The boats themselves, we had 2 boats. Both of them, when you sit in the rowing seat, tend to collapse every time you sit in and bow in. I think they'll last for another couple of weeks, but they're not the best boats in the world. The oars and the boats are also rather poor. One was broken by Jerry. The other one was kind of cracked, but you can get out and row pretty decently. A couple other things I'd like to remember. Chris called the owner before we came up here, and he thought we were taking advantage of him because we had too many people paying too small an amount. I think that's kind of funny considering how things have gone this last week. Another thing that strikes me is that my mom and dad, Jerry and Chris and Mike, all left early because they couldn't stand this place. And so me and Billy stayed longer. I ended up paying more because we're staying longer. It's kind of a unique way of doing things. That red light is flashing. Is that supposed to be flashing? Another thing about this place that's good to remember is you walk around out here and you see for sale signs all over the place. It's not hard to understand why. Basically, the lake is nothing but weeds. In fact, the whole lake is turning into a bog, we feel. Okay. There's a few other items I just wanted, just things that struck me as I reflected on the last week. There's earth-moving equipment going by now and then. Didn't want to forget that. Billy blowing his nose in the curtains, another fine memory. Chris trying to get Billy to take a shower, being totally unsuccessful. Billy's family schedule is really unique, I think. I get up at 6 in the morning with my kids and take care of them all day and put them to bed about 7:30 or 8, and then I got to listen to Billy's kids till about midnight. Then they sleep till about 10, so we have fine overlapping schedules, so there's never a minute without kids in this cabin, which is very nice. Pitter-patter of little feet. Another thing I mentioned before, there's no beach here. What we have to do, we did check out a few beaches. There's several within driving distance. And another fine memory is hauling all that stuff into the car every day, sort of like going on a picnic every day. You drive 200 miles, come up north here to a cabin, and then you have a picnic every day. You load blown up rafts and tires into a car with all the sand and the crud and the buckets, and drive off to a beach and unload everything and sit down and have a couple hours on the beach. So that's kind of a good memory. Both my kids were sick up here. That's just another memory. Adam yelling bubble nose every 10 minutes. Bubble nose, bubble nose. That's kind of fun. Another memory is Chris telling Billy to keep Bridget quiet. And again, Billy never seemed to get the knack of keeping her quiet. I don't know what his problem was. Another memory is just last night, about 11 o'clock, we got back late from Anigo, and Billy was brushing Nick's teeth while Nick was in bed. I don't know if that's normal, but it's just a memory I'll never forget. Nick was asleep, and Billy was brushing his teeth. I ask you. Okay. I don't want to leave you with the impression that this week was bad. There are a lot of good things about this, and I've listed some of them. You might notice that all of the good things have nothing to do with this cabin or this resort, but there were plenty of good things. We saw great fireworks last night in Anigo. We had a little carnival, and we had some fun on the rides. A few days ago, we went on a raft trip down the Wolf River, all of us, and we had a great time with that. We went to Leona the other day and went on a train ride and a boat ride. We saw a museum for old boating items. We went on a hay ride. We had a petting farm there, and also went on a forest ride. And it was a very excellent, not highly professional trip, but it was a very fun thing to do. The train didn't work all the way, and we almost didn't get back, but they finally got it going again. When we went on the boat ride down the Raft River, the kid couldn't start the boat. It took him about 10 minutes to start the boat, but he finally did get started. It only conked out 2 or 3 times on the way on the trip, but it was a fun trip otherwise. Another good thing, the one good thing about this place right here in this resort is that when you walk out the door and face toward the lake, you have an excellent view. But you can't turn sideways or backwards, but you have an excellent view facing the lake. The lake it's a very nice view. We're up on top of a hill, and it's very beautiful. The weather, for the most part, has been really superb. Today's a little cloudy and dreary, and we had one day where it was minor drizzle, but for the most part, the weather has been excellent up here. The kids are all having a great time. They don't mind it at all. There's been basically no bug problem other than at night. The mosquitoes during the day have not bugged us. The gnats haven't bugged us at all. It's been pretty good. We've had a lot of fun fishing off the pier and catching little fish for the kids. It's been fun. We had some fun croquet games. So basically that about wraps it up. Our week up here at Smithers on Pickerel Lake. And I think that Lois is going to be awfully sorry that she missed all of this fine stuff. So I guess that'll about wrap it up.
Okay, Jack. I thank you for your time. I want to go back to your newspaper. I hope you can read it.
Yeah, I got it right here. This is really the only quiet place in the cabin right now. Actually, I shouldn't really say that. The only reason it's quiet here is because Chris has taken all 4 kids and taken them for a walk. So I'll go back to reading my paper.
Thank you, Jack. Yep.